evening and welcome to the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education meeting for January 24th, 2018. We are fortunate this evening to have 3 students from ALPS join us who are going to be leading us in the pledge. And they are Henry Bongers from grade 4, Natalie Gasalapoff from grade 5, and Amy Saw from grade 5. So if you 3 would like to come forward about where Mr. Peschel is, we'll ask you to begin the pledge for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done.
Most well enunciated one we've had in a long time.
Very enthusiastic. So Natalie, we thank you for coming tonight. You're welcome to stay, but if you have other thank you for coming. And again, you're welcome to stay, or if you need to leave us. So thank you, Henry. Thanks for joining us. And there's your certificate. So feel free to stay. Thank you. I think we forgot the open meeting clerk notification, didn't we? We got just right into that Pledge of Allegiance. Has this meeting been properly noticed?
It has.
And would you please call the roll?
Carlin?
Here.
Eliza?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Turner? Herzog?
Here.
Olmsted? Here. Peschel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. So moving on into board administrative reports, I'll try to do a better job of sticking to the agenda here. Mrs. Garner couldn't be here this evening, and so I'm here in her place, and I just have a couple of things to share. Several of us were able to attend the joint convention last week of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, the Wisconsin Association of School Business Officials, and the Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators. One of the sessions I went to was actually a pre-session, and there was a good deal of information shared about the role of boards and board members and how we might make our meetings more efficient. And so because they had extra copies, I was able to bring these copies without any expense to the district or to myself, and so I thought I would share those. Also, in the month of March, according to our board policy, we need to do an annual self-evaluation as a board, and one of the ways we do that is by analyzing data that we submit to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards through a free tool that we are entitled to as members. So I'm going to give one of these forms to each of you. You can be assured that each of you has a different access number, so you won't be able to see what the other board members provide as responses. There's a deadline noted of June 30th. However, our meeting will be scheduled for probably the second week in March, so it's important that we get these completed in a more timely manner. Might we be able to decide on a date to complete these? Could we say 2 weeks from tonight, for example? Would that be a reasonable time? Okay. February 7th? Okay. So it's before Valentine's Day. All right, February 7th it is. All right, so then moving on, we move on to the superintendent's good news report.
Yes, good evening. It's my pleasure to share with you this evening the superintendent's report for January 24th, 2018. First of all, kindergarten students at Franklin Elementary School held a pajama drive to collect pajamas for area children. They collected 35 pairs of pajamas, and because Scholastic Book partners with the pajama drive, one book for each pajama was donated to local children as well. Thanks for all who have donated. Students throughout the Jefferson Elementary School talked about and honored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on January 15th with activities and lessons, some of which included book discussions, writing about how students are and can be more like Dr. King, watching clips from his I Have a Dream speech, and learning how much they are alike. Congratulations also to all of the students who are listed as finalists for the 2018 Dr. Martin Luther King Essay Contest. They were recently honored in community celebration held at UW Oshkosh on January 15th. At some point in time, we should be able to honor those, and with a recent contact that we've had with the new Oshkosh weekly newspaper, they're going to be collecting these pieces, and they're planning to do recognition of student awards in their newspaper, which will be a delight for students and parents as well as all of the school districts. Merrill Middle School hosted the 4th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Assembly on January 15th with guest speakers who included UW Oshkosh student and alumnus of Merrill Middle School, as well as present students within Merrill Middle School. Presenters talked to Dr. King's legacy, what it meant to them, and to the program that included cultural artist performance by the Oshkosh North Youth for Asian American and Culture Dance Group. For the past 5 months, at Reed Elementary School and Merrill Middle School have had the opportunity to be in a group drumming session led by founder of the Oshkosh Rhythm Institute, Robin Cardell. The purpose of this group is to build community and to provide a safe place for students to share an experience and to help students create connections with positive adults. Students have been enjoying participating in the group, and their comments can be seen on the slide. The Bemis Company Foundation announced that 2 Oshkosh West High School special education teachers received the Community Enrichment Grant to create a vocational program that will help students achieve success in the workforce and community. The company sends its congratulations to those dedicated educators who will work to create a level vocational learning program in an effort to fill the educational gap for students with intellectual disabilities and provide an opportunity to prepare students for the workforce. Community's 2 students have been studying about the rise in drug use in society today and its impact. Students were welcomed into Judge Jorgensen and Judge Seifert's drug court session, where they learned the repeated rate that those are involved in drug are struggling at some 50%. They also learned about 2 programs that support and treat people with addictions. And 5th grade students at Washington Elementary School worked to complete challenges using dot and dash robots by integrating their teamwork, collaboration, and innovation skills. And Washington Elementary DARE students, congratulations to the 5th grade students at Washington Elementary who recently completed their DARE program. DARE is in its 35th year of teaching throughout the world about drug resistance education. And frankly, they've expanded to include certainly also issues related to making good decisions. This evening, kind of unusual to good news, but Clarence Inke Youngworth passed away this past week, and Clarence has been like an adjunct faculty member for the Oshkosh schools for years. Clarence befriended me in my early days in the district. I've read every one of his books. I have also watched every one of the cable television programs relating to him. It should be a essential reading and responsibility of the new superintendent to learn about Oshkosh by reading the works of Clarence Inke Youngworth. Clarence's work in serving our schools and constantly being a presence with us will be deeply missed, and we wanted to honor him this evening, and we had a number of teachers who have been close to him and have had the honor of having him in their classroom contact me this week to wish that we would celebrate and honor and recognize Clarence Inke Youngworth. There are 2 quotes that I think are just particularly from a 2nd grade teacher at Jefferson. And she goes on to say that the students love to hear him, but she particularly remembers 2 of his stories. And the one that our students are would think about the fact that he told of growing up on the south side of Oshkosh, and that during the winter, snow came through the roof of the attic and where he and his siblings were growing up, and they could watch the snow from their beds through the roof of their house. And lastly, that as he was growing up, making money by collecting frogs along the marshes near Lake Winnebago and being able to sell them to the downtown restaurants for frog legs. Two delightful stories that Enki shared, but he will be truly missed because he supplemented our Wisconsin history as well as our Oshkosh history in so many classrooms and shared so many positive things about what it's like to have grown up in the old days in Oshkosh, but also translate that into a vision for our students. So thank you, Inky. With that, you'll find the schedule for activities for the superintendent for the past 2-week period, and that completes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Are there any district administrator supplemental reports? Are there committee chair reports from the board? Okay.
Facility and Finance Committee met on January 15th at 8:30 in the morning. The first thing on the agenda was the budget variance report, which is a written report from Mrs. Schnorr, and no one had questions about that. We all reviewed it. Then we went into the 2016-17 audit review. Our representatives from Schenck came in. All of you guys should have gotten your annual finance report on that. Dave said and reported that the district's finance audit, from a compliance perspective, the district had great control over the funds it received in those 2 years, or that school year, and overall the audit went extremely well. Then Mr. Fox talked about the Oak Lawn site storage facility. There is nothing to report since the project is still under site review. It is common for the process to take a couple of months. It was noted that the garage placement will be funded from the maintenance budget, and a contractor doing site work will be bid separately. There are no surprises to be anticipated. Once out of the review, the bid process will begin. The project could be done by the end of June. There will be more to report in a couple months on that one. The committee met that day. When we talked that day, we had met with the Jackson Street Community Green Place proposal, and that community that the folks that had come in, and we wanted to discuss it further. So there was continued discussion regarding the Jackson Street Community Green Place proposal. The community members had a number of concerns regarding the proposal, such as who would be responsible for maintaining the property. It appears the neighborhood committee wants to make improvements, but wants the district to maintain it since it's the district's property. It was noted that the district should oversee whatever the plan is. There was concern about certain things being built because of vandalism. Another concern was future needs if the district wants to do something with the property. A meeting has to occur with the activities directors at both schools, both high schools, to see if there was any future plans for utilization of the field. From a facility standpoint, something needs to be done with the press box. There's a press box still there up by the two columns. And so there was talk about a suggestion perhaps of incorporating the press box with posting of historical literature or photos, and that would not impact the corner and would be doing something that's already have to be maintained. It was also suggested to have maintenance costs available to them to help them understand the costs involved. So they gave us that plan with the 1 to 10 year plan, and we wanted to have that plan and have maintenance look at what they planned on how much it would cost over the years to maintain what they had asked us to do or what they wanted to put on there. It was decided that Sue Schnorr would contact the neighborhood group to determine the priority of their goals, to have green space to congregate or to document the history of the field. Historically, green space in the district has been used for athletics and district activities. Questions needing to be answered include where the money is coming from, the maintenance cost of the plan, how much benches cost, what types of things to include in the plan, plantings and structures, etc., plans for maintenance and potential displacement of the site due to future needs of the district. So after Mrs. Schnorr speaks with them, then she'll come back, and I think we're going to have a meeting with them again on facility and finance. Then we also review the budget reduction items, which of those were implemented and their impact on the student learning. There was a brief discussion with regard to CESA's 6 positions being brought in-house and the fact that the district offers only 2 foreign languages. There was no further discussions. The future agenda items that we have is going back through the Jackson Street green space. And our next meeting will be February 22nd at 9:30.
Thank you very much. Any other committee reports? I do have one. From Thursday, January 11th, the Policy and Governance meeting Governance, Policy and Governance Committee met that day. We essentially had one topic that we were looking at related to employee anti-harassment. At the December Policy and Governance meeting, it was suggested that the committee review the employee anti-harassment policies for each of the employee groups. Attorney Jim Macy reviewed the suggested changes and returned his recommendation to the committee. The compliance officer will change within the policy, and paragraph D will be changed to reflect Attorney Macy's recommendations. The committee did recommend that the changes to this policy would come forward to the full board for approval this evening. The other employee anti-harassment policy relates to professional staff. Since all 3 policies are related, only one policy needed to be duplicated in the other 2 policies, so the same changes applied to that policy. And finally, there was a third employee anti-harassment policy that relates to support staff. And the changes that we are recommending for policies 1662 for administration, 3362 for professional staff, and then 4362 would be the same. So all 3 policies are on the agenda for tonight for approval. The next meeting of the Policy and Governance group will be also on February 22nd, following the Facilities and Finance meeting. Are there any individuals who wish to address the board during the non-agenda related public forum? Seeing none, is there anyone present who would like to address the board on an agenda related public forum? Seeing none, we'll move into the consent resolution agenda for this evening. There are a couple of policies that will be pulled for discussion, 8A, 8B, and 12. Are there any other ones that anyone would like to pull for tonight? All right, so the board will consider approval of 1, minutes of the December 13th, 2017 special board meeting. Number 2, minutes of the December 13, 2017 executive session at special board meeting. Number 3, minutes of December 20th, 2017 regular board meeting. Number 4, minutes of December 20th, 2017 executive session at regular board meeting. Number 5, minutes of January 10th, 2018 regular board meeting. Number 6, minutes of January 20th, 2018 executive session at regular board meeting. Number 7, bills payable. Number 8, personnel. 8C, administrator contracts. Number 9, 2018 to 2019 open enrollment space availability. Number 10, waiver of policy 6320 purchasing. Number 11, Bray Architects to facilitate the long-range facilities master planning.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 8A, appointments, temporary appointments, resignations, and salary schedule.
So moved.
Second.
I had wanted to discuss this one briefly. We had asked, I believe, at the last time we did the superintendent's quarterly review, that we wanted to add a column, which has been done, stating the reason for the appointment. That is, whether it was a new position or it was filling a vacancy that already existed. there weren't any reasons given for this large number of cook helpers. So I didn't know from this list if those are new positions or those are replacements. Replacements, okay. That was my only question on that. All right. There just seemed to be an awful lot of cook helpers. They must be in big demand right now.
There's a lot of turnover.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If we have the column, we should fill in the blank.
Well, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's, because we did get the column in there, but it should be.
Column is great, but
Mhm.
yeah, we need,
I
Right.
didn't realize we were adding the column, so I will
Okay.
make sure we do that.
Right.
all right, thank you. Any more discussion on 8B? All right, then please call the roll.
On 8A.
I'm sorry, 8A.
Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, I. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, I. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, I. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, I. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, I. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, I. Motion carried.
Resolution 8B, personnel retirements.
So moved. Second.
Again, I had asked that this one be pulled. It's always a surprise to me when I see some of these names on this retirement list. I've known some of these individuals. I've been in their classrooms from what I would call BC, which means before they had children. And many of them now have adult children. I don't know if there are any grandparents in the group, but I used to visit Cindy Schaefer when her classroom was at Lincoln Elementary School, which is now Lincoln Hall on the university campus, and Cindy will be retiring from Lakeside Elementary School, having served the district approximately 30 years. Rodney Silvas, I used to visit his classroom, I believe, at Perry Tipler, and then he moved to Traeger, where he will be retiring after approximately 22 years of service with the district. Bill Steinert has been an English teacher with the district since 1991, so approximately 27 years. And Eileen Steffen has served as a media teacher assistant, currently at Oshkosh North High School, for approximately 17 years. So I just want to wish all these people well. They seem too young to retire to me, but I guess time has a way of marching on. So we congratulate these people and thank them for their service to the students and parents of our school district.
And a member of the school board. William Steiner was my English teacher in 1994.
Very good. Excellent.
He was still a new teacher back then.
He was.
He was. Please call the roll.
Evans?
Aye.
Evans, I. Garner? Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, I. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, I. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, I. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, I. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, I. Motion carried.
Resolution number 12, updates to policies A, 1662, employee anti-harassment administration, B, 3362, employee anti-harassment professional staff, and C, 4362, employee anti-harassment support staff.
So moved.
Second.
I wanted to make a couple of comments about these three policies. Oftentimes we hear a good deal about the notion of safety and the fact that we want our students to be safe. We also want our staff to be safe. And I think these particular policies are especially important in this day and age when over the last approximately 24 months we've seen and heard people from across the country step forward and make known what they've experienced. And those of us who have experienced harassment in some form, whether that's physical or emotional, found that very painful at the time. And when we revisit that in 2018, we still find it painful. Harassment, improper touch, harassment of any kind has no place in this school district. That includes this boardroom, it includes our classrooms, our offices, any physical space that is owned by the district, and any activity in which any of our students and our staff take part. To me, it's very important for our staff to know that there is a means by which their concerns can be addressed with integrity, with honesty, and in a manner which will respect and honor them in the way that they should be. So I'm happy that we have made some changes to these policies, which I think strengthen them. And at the same time, I'm saddened by the fact that we have the need for such policies. But that's the era in which we live. So to the extent that I believe that we have strengthened these policies to protect our staff, to ensure safety, just as we have similar policies to protect our students, it's important for us to support these policies. Thank you. Any other comments?
I would just add the comment that from a standpoint of enforcement and holding responsibility for the integrity of delivering on those, I think the changes made are excellent, but that the fact that operating with integrity, these policies will certainly place us, if we have the unfortunate experience of having such issues arise, we've created an environment that will fairly and appropriately respond to those. And I feel very, very good about the strengthening for each of those three policies.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Garner. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Motion carried.
Next agenda item is individually considered resolution. We have one this evening. It's resolution number 13, a resolution in support of the Wisconsin Voucher Taxpayer Transparency Bill, which is can be defined as Assembly Bill 267 and Senate Bill 183.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
Okay, just as a little background on this, again, at our last board self-evaluation, we thought that for a school board our size, we should take a little more active role in advocating politically. And I thought this would be kind of a nice one to stick our toe in the water, just to kind of get on with that. What this resolution would allow is the Oshkosh Area School District to support legislation that attempts to inform property taxpayers about the impact vouchers are having on their public schools, state aid, and on their property taxes. A pair of bills, Senate Bill 183 and Assembly Bill 267, introduced in the current legislative session, would require property tax bills to include information from the school district where the property is located regarding the dollar amount of any net reduction in state aid as a result of pupils enrolled in the state's 4 voucher programs. As written, this resolution would support this legislation in the form it was introduced, and would additionally support including information on property tax bills about the change in school district's property tax levy, if any, as a result of voucher-related aid reductions, and information about the tax impact on individual parcels of property, if any, as a result of voucher-related aid reductions. See, I did my homework. Currently, as I said, there are 8 districts that have approved resolutions like this. If we do approve it tonight, I have a copy of it here that needs our signatures. And then what we would do is we would send it to our representatives and governor and get it on the WASB website as the 9th school district to approve this resolution. So that's about it in a nutshell.
Very good.
Very
At
good.
the WASB, or Wisconsin Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly last week, where each of the 400-plus public school districts in the state had an opportunity to vote on potential resolutions that will help guide the direction of the WASB into the 18-19 school year, there was a resolution to support this kind of activity so that taxpayers and the public overall are aware of the impact of the voucher program on our local taxes and what that means to each of us as homeowners, taxpayers, renters, and so on. So it's certainly consistent with that group, which has a membership of something over 2,000, so.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, and the surprising thing about it is that it passed unanimously. Not one person, not one delegate said no on this. They were all, and I've never seen something pass 100%. So it was surprising to see. Because there's always one person that says, I don't think so.
Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Any other comments?
May I suggest that we actually, again, once we did in the fall when we set the levy, but the tax impact on vouchers for this school district or in this school district community for this year is $886,622. That that impacts across all of our property taxpayers in the community, approaching near a million, and that is more than double the increase from the previous year of $405,778. So it's an ever increasing number as those ratios or the participation is allowed to rise. It will be over $1 million this coming year.
I did attend a session at the WASB where they shared similar information. The expectation is that the dollar amount is, and the impact of the dollars are going to increase over time as they raise the number of students who can participate and they raise the income level of parents who can opt to have their children participate in the voucher program. So the implications are far-reaching.
And it should be noted that we're not educating less students as a result of vouchers. We continue to be educating the number plus more, and that the enrollment in our non-public school sister schools here in the community remain stable.
Any other comments?
Yeah, if we agree to this, the sheet that will be passed around has signatures required. That is just a second page of the resolution. The first page is also was in our packets, and so it will be a complete resolution when it get united again.
Very good. And thank you for taking the lead on this, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate that. Other comments? Please call the roll.
Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner? Motion carried.
All right. Are there any requests at this time for future agenda items? They would have to come from the board. I'm sorry.
I would remind the board that you have a busy coming month
Yes, we
with
do.
lots of additional meetings that are going on at the same time, and that our next regular meeting is on Valentine's Day. However, in the interim, you'll be meeting several times before that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any announcements? I would just like to make a short announcement because we're not noticed to discuss anything else this evening. But I suspect my fellow board members, along with myself, have been asked recently, at least over the last couple of months, what's going on with the superintendent search. And so to make a quick announcement, the posting for the position closed last week Wednesday, January 17th. We are working with a consulting firm called Ray & Associates, who are currently going through all the applications, whether completed or not, and will whittle that number down for us. And then, as Mr. Mack has indicated, starting on, I believe it's February 5th, the board will be meeting with Ray & Associates and will be engaged in a number of meetings during the week, not only of February 5th, but February 12th
And the following week.
and the following week, to do our best to name a successor for Mr. Mack. Under board policy, the one of the main jobs of the school district, Board of Education, is to hire and supervise the superintendent. And so when people ask, are you part of the interview team? If they ask that of any of us, the answer is yes. And in fact, we are the selection team or the interview team. But there will be opportunities for public input. So if you have any questions, Mrs. Garner is our contact person. I'm not trying to duck anything here. She's the board president. So feel free to contact Mrs. Garner, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to try to answer your questions as best she can. So we appreciate the interest of the community, and we're obviously very grateful for the contributions of Mr. Mack. However, like with other retirees, there's a time there's a season for everything and a time for every purpose under heaven, or something like that. So, moving on. That's my announcement. Any other announcements? All right, with that, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.